What really happens the moment you take your last breath? Not what people assume, not what culture says, but what is actually true. Because one day, whether we're ready or not, that moment will come for every one of us. Your heart beats, your lungs rise and fall, and then suddenly, everything stops. But here's the question most people never stop to ask. Does everything really end there? Or is that just the beginning? The Bible gives us a sobering and deeply powerful answer. It tells us that death is not the end of your existence. It is a transition, a crossing, a moment where the physical body returns to the earth, but your spirit, the real you, continues on. There is no pause, no blackout, no disappearing into nothingness. Instead, there is awareness, consciousness, reality. And in that moment, something profound happens. You step out of time and into eternity. Let that sink in, because eternity is not just a concept, it is a destination, and every single person is heading there. The question is not if you will enter eternity. The question is where. Now, many people believe in something called soul sleep, the idea that after death you simply go unconscious, waiting for some distant future. But the scriptures paint a very different picture, a picture of immediate awareness, immediate experience, immediate reality. And to help us understand this, Jesus himself told a story, one that reveals what happens after this life with striking clarity. There was once a rich man, a man who lived in comfort, luxury, and ease. And there was also a poor man named Lazarus, a man who suffered, struggled, and longed just to be seen. Both men lived very different lives, but one day, both men died. And in that moment, everything changed. The poor man, Lazarus, was carried into a place of comfort, peace, and rest. But the rich man? He found himself in torment. Not unconscious, not unaware, but fully awake, fully aware. He could see, he could feel, he could remember. He even spoke. And in that moment, something heartbreaking happened. He realized it was too late. Too late to change his choices. Too late to go back. Too late to rewrite his life. And what made it even more painful was that he remembered everything. His life, his opportunities, his chances to do things differently. And now, eternity had begun. This story is not meant to scare, it's meant to awaken, because it reveals a truth many people spend their lives avoiding. After death, there is no second chance. There is no redo, no going back, no negotiating. Only the continuation of what has already been set in motion. And that leads us to a sobering reality. There are only two paths beyond this life. One leads to the presence of God, peace, joy, and eternal life. The other leads to separation from Him, regret, emptiness, and loss. There is no middle ground, no neutral zone, no in-between. And that's why this conversation matters so deeply. Because right now, while you're listening, you are still in the moment of decision. Still in the place where your choices matter. Still in the window of opportunity. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't an accident. Maybe you're hearing this for a reason. Maybe this is your moment to pause and reflect. To ask yourself honestly, if my life ended today, where would I be? Take a moment. Don't rush past that question, because your eternity is too important to ignore. And if this is opening your eyes, even a little, take a second to like this video. Not for me, but so more people can hear this truth and have the chance to reflect, just like you are right now. Because the reality is simple, yet powerful. Death is not the end. It is the doorway to eternity. And what lies beyond that door is determined by the life you choose to live today. But this raises an even deeper question. What exactly awaits us on the other side? Heaven? Judgment? Something more? Let's step deeper into this truth. So, what really awaits us on the other side of eternity? Is it peace? Is it judgment? Is it something far beyond what we can even imagine? The Bible reveals that beyond this life, there are two eternal realities, two destinations that could not be more different. One is filled with indescribable joy, the other with unimaginable regret. Let's begin with the hope that God has prepared. Heaven. Heaven is not just a distant idea. It is a real place, a place where pain no longer exists, where sorrow has no voice, where fear has no power. Imagine a place where every tear you've ever cried is wiped away forever. A place where broken hearts are fully healed, where anxiety is replaced with perfect peace, where love is not temporary but eternal. This is the presence of God, and in His presence there is fullness of joy. No more loss, no more disappointment, no more wondering if things will ever get better. Because in heaven, everything is made new. You are made new. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all, you are not just existing there, you are home. Finally, home. But as real as heaven is, there is another reality that many people don't like to talk about. Hell. Not as a scare tactic, not as a dramatic exaggeration, but as a truth that Jesus Himself spoke about. Hell is not just about punishment, it is about separation. Separation from God. Separation from light. Separation from everything good. And the deepest pain of that separation is not physical. It is the realization that it didn't have to be this way. It is regret. The memory of chances that were ignored, moments that were dismissed, truth that was heard but not embraced. And just like in the story of the rich man, there is awareness, memory, understanding, but no opportunity to change direction. That is why this matters. Because eternity is not something you can fix later. It is something you prepare for now. And that brings us to one of the most powerful and sobering truths in all of Scripture. There will be a day of judgment. A moment where every life is brought before God, not to confuse, not to debate, but to reveal. Every thought, every action, every choice, nothing hidden, nothing forgotten. The Bible describes it as books being opened, a record of life, a divine account of how each person lived, what they chose, and what they did with the truth they were given. Now, this can sound overwhelming, even intimidating, because if we're honest, none of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes. We've all fallen short. And that leads to an important question. What determines where we spend eternity? Is it being a good person? Is it doing more right than wrong? The answer might surprise you, because eternity is not determined by human comparison. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about something deeper, something more personal. Relationship. Your relationship with God. You see, God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for connection, for surrender, for trust, for a heart that turns toward Him. Because no amount of good works can erase sin completely, but grace can. And that's where the story begins to shift from fear to hope. Because God didn't leave humanity without a way. He didn't create eternity as a trap. He created it as an invitation. An invitation to life, to restoration, to eternal belonging. But here's the reality. Not everyone accepts that invitation. And that's why this message is so important. Because right now, you still have the ability to choose, to reflect, to decide. Let me ask you something honestly. If your life were placed before God today, fully seen, fully known, what would it reveal? Not what others think of you, not what you try to present, but the real you. The quiet thoughts, the hidden struggles, the choices no one else sees. Take a moment and sit with that. Because this is not about fear, it's about awareness. And awareness leads to transformation. If you feel something stirring in your heart right now, don't ignore it. That's not coincidence. That's conviction. That's the quiet voice reminding you that your life has eternal significance. And if you're serious about being ready for eternity, type "ready" in the comments. Not as a trend, but as a declaration. A decision that you don't want to live blindly anymore. A decision that you want your life to align with something greater. Because what comes next is the most important part of all. God's plan, His purpose, and the incredible truth about what He desires for you. Because eternity is not just about where you go, it's about the invitation you've been given. And in the next part, you'll discover how everything can change, starting today. So now we come to the most important question of all. If eternity is real, if heaven and separation from God are real, if every life leads to a moment of truth, then what is God's plan in all of this? And more importantly, where do you fit into it? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning. Before fear, before brokenness, before sin ever entered the world. God created humanity for something beautiful. Not just to exist, but to live in relationship with Him, to walk with Him, to know Him, to experience love, peace, and purpose without end. You were not created by accident. You were created with intention, designed for eternity. But something happened. Humanity chose independence over relationship, self over surrender. And in that choice, sin entered the world. And with sin came separation. A separation between humanity and God. A fracture that no human effort could fully repair. That's why, deep down, people feel it. That emptiness, that longing, that sense that something is missing. It's not just emotion, it's the echo of separation. But here's where everything changes. Because God did not walk away. He didn't abandon humanity to figure it out alone. Instead, He set a plan in motion. A plan not based on human effort, but on divine love. A plan to restore what was broken, to bridge the gap, to bring people back into relationship with Him. And that plan is centered on one powerful truth: grace, unearned, undeserved, freely given. God's desire has never been to condemn, but to restore, to redeem, to bring you back home. Because you were never meant to be lost. You were meant to be found. And that leads us to this moment, right here, right now. Because everything we've talked about, eternity, heaven, judgment, purpose, it all comes down to one decision, a personal decision. Not your family's decision, not your friend's decision, yours. What will you do with the life you've been given? Will you ignore the call? Delay the decision? Assume there will always be more time? Or will you respond? Will you choose life? Will you choose truth? Will you choose relationship with God? Because the reality is this: eternity is not decided someday in the future. It is being shaped by the choices you make today. And maybe you felt something during this video, a stirring, a conviction, a quiet voice saying, "This matters." Don't ignore that, because that may be the very moment your life begins to change. So right now, I want to give you a moment. No pressure, no performance, just honesty, right where you are. If you desire to be right with God, if you want to step into His plan for your life, if you want the assurance of eternity with Him, you can make that decision now. Just open your heart. You can even say something like this: God, I realize that I need you. I've made mistakes, and I can't fix everything on my own. But today, I choose to turn toward you. I choose truth. I choose life. I ask you to guide me, change me, and lead me. From this moment forward, I want to walk with you. You don't need perfect words, just a genuine heart. Because God sees sincerity, not performance. And in that moment of surrender, something powerful happens. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. A new beginning, a restored connection, a step into purpose, and the start of a different eternity. If you made that decision, or even if you're thinking about it, don't keep it to yourself. Take a bold step and subscribe to this channel for more faith-building content that will help you grow, stay grounded, and continue this journey. And share this video with someone you care about, because you never know. This message could be the very thing that changes their eternity too. Let's come back to where we started. What happens after this life? The answer is simple, yet profound. Eternity begins. But where you spend it depends on the choice you make today. So don't wait. Don't assume. Don't ignore what you now understand. Because eternity is not something you enter someday. It's something you're preparing for right now.